Agenda will be the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is to approve basically to approve the agenda. I need somebody to, firstly, are there any changes or anybody would like to have any addition or deletion over here to the agenda? Okay. If not, I request someone to.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, anyone?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? Same sign? Okay, the motion passes. The fourth item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2023. Anyone has any comments or any changes that need to be made to the minutes? Okay, all right. If not, I request somebody to make a motion to approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2023 meeting.
Somebody to
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? The motion passes. Okay, now coming to the item number 5 on today's agenda, we have some new business, and this will be the public hearing regarding this. Let me just. Okay, the purpose of this public hearing is to consider a variance for 413 Meadowlark Lane, parcel 31-0837-000, as the proposed garage addition exceeds 60% of the foundation size of the dwelling unit to which it is attached. The applicant proposes an addition of 450 square foot addition to an existing garage. All right, so I open this to the public hearing. If anybody has any comments, against this, or if they have any comments to make, please come forward, state your name, and make a statement. Is Brad Kruger here? No. Okay. Okay, for the record, please state your name, and when you speak, please speak up a bit loudly so all of us can follow.
Okay, Brad Kruger.
You have this?
413 Meadowlark Lane, Arlington.
Maybe you can explain why you are requesting the variance, if you will.
Size wise, so I don't need a variance. I could do 1,000 square foot detached. I don't need that. I've already got gas, everything in my garage, so that's the reason for the attachment of it. So it's the size of it. It's all been engineered. It's went through Darren. So
And how far are you away from the side lot line?
I don't remember exactly.
Is it 30 feet?
It's probably 30. It's on my permit. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like 30 on the permit, I see.
When Mr. Kruger came in, we sat down and talked about this, and I did suggest that he go talk to the building inspector because I thought it'd be easier for him to do an unattached garage. He would have had, of course, a bigger garage, but then it wouldn't have had to have the variance.
Oh, yeah.
And so because and then he came back and he said no, that he wanted to do it this way.
Mhm.
I did talk with Darren, our building inspector, and he was gonna try to be here tonight. But he said that he had no issues with it.
Wonderful.
And the public hearing has been published, and then there were about 7 or so, no, there was more than that. 12 people notified.
So everyone got their
Mhm.
the letters.
We did have just one neighbor stop by and just kind of had, just concerns just how far it is from the side lot.
Okay, any questions? Anyone has any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. So now the resolution isn't attached, I'm asking that you do a motion and then a resolution approving it will go before the city council. Unless you have some other concerns or something.
Okay,
Anyone else?
okay, yeah, anyone else would like to make any comments or have anything to say on this variance? If not, I ask somebody to make a motion to approve a variance.
Or make a motion to close the public
Yeah,
hearing.
okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public
Somebody
hearing.
second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Okay, so the motion passes. Okay, now I would like somebody to make a motion to approve the variance to require dimensional size requirements in the R1-1 single family residence district at 413 Meadowlark Lane.
I'll make a motion approving the variance to require a dimensional size requirement in the R1 single family residence district at 413 Meadowlark Lane.
Someone to second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Motion passes.
Mhm.
Okay, now,
Then the other item that's on the agenda, the request in D2 Central Business District. And it has to do with the building, I believe that's either near or attached to where the paper is at. The Arlington Press, is that what it's called? Arlington Paper?
Oh, the Arlington Enterprise,
Mhm.
yeah.
And what he's wanting to do is that there are a couple of buildings there together that have businesses in the front, but he wants to remodel the back apartments and then rent, and that's on West Main Street. And I believe that that's allowed within our ordinance. When I looked it up, you could have rentals in the back of the buildings. So I think that would be probably a good thing. So I said that we talk about it here, and if there's no requirement that I saw in there because it's within that district. The B2 district allows for the apartments on the backside of a business.
the company or the person who requested,
Yeah.
were they planning to come here
No,
today?
no,
Or
they
just
weren't.
They just made a request in
Mhm.
writing or just in verbally?
Well, he had a question whether he could do it, and then when I went into the ordinance and found that he could do it, I said I'd still mention it to you. If you have any concerns about him doing that, then I'd have him come back, but I don't know how. We wouldn't be able to deny it because it's permitted in that B2 business district.
There's something I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's something about Main Street, like the actual frontage.
Yeah.
Can't be apartments.
No,
But the
The
rear of
rear,
the buildings
mhm.
can be and stuff. I can't remember the verbiage, but there is.
that's what it
But yeah,
said.
I mean, as long as there's
Yeah.
something to go in that building, it's
Yeah.
been empty for a while.
So consensus is that he doesn't have to come back, I don't think, because like I did look it up in your zoning and it is allowed there on Main Street.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess, when he said regarding apartment rental, is he planning to add something more or make any changes over there? Or is he just, he already has some apartments and something that he's just wanting to keep on renting, or he might not have
No.
been renting and wanting to do it again?
I think that these buildings are for sale, and so he knows that he has to keep business in the front, but he just wanted to make sure that he could rent out the back. And he had another building in town where he did that same thing.
Mhm.
And so he just wanted to make sure, and when he called in, I said, okay, well, I'll ask, but I don't think anything had changed in your zoning code to change that.
So these apartment rentals, like once he rents it, are there enough vertical parking space there
Mhm.
for
They're
people to
really
rent?
big
a store?
buildings.
I know that is another thing in our code. There's 2 spaces per apartment, so that would have to be
Yes, so I guess those things would have to be
accommodated
looked
too
at.
and that, all that.
Absolutely, the
But-
parking. Mhm.
Yes,
Yes,
but I
that's right.
mean, I don't see any problem with it besides, as long as some of that stuff has to be followed. But
Okay, so I assume that, once he starts doing that now, I was just going to say, once he starts doing that, then he'll, if he requires any changes, if he needs to talk to, us in case he cannot meet some requirement, then he'll be coming to the
And,
ENG.
and he will have to apply for building permits, and then the building inspector will make sure that he complies to whatever parking spaces are needed and so forth. Mhm.
I'm sorry though, to answer your question, he actually does have apartments above,
Okay.
there's 3, maybe 5
Mhm.
upstairs.
Mhm.
So, and there's a lot of room there. It used to be an old grocery store. Yeah, I don't know if you remember. when
yeah.
We were
Yeah.
children, it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
There was a grocery store and something else in there, but no, it's been empty. Well, Snap Fit has been there for a while too, but
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still a lot of room.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't think, we don't need a motion on that.
No, no action at all. I'll just put in the minutes that we talked about it, and that's because it's allowed in that district. There is no concern that he should apply for building permits and follow the code, and he'll be fine.
Okay, great. All right then, then we'll move on to the next item, which is a request that has been made by Nubera Fibers, I think regarding the work that they're doing over here. And I guess we have a couple of representatives. So if you don't mind, if you could, first introduce yourself.
Yep.
And then if you could just speak up so that we all can follow you.
I'm Chris Worsel, I work for Nubera, outside plant, network design project coordinator.
Larry Shepard, I'm Director of Network Operations and Outside Plant Construction for Nubera.
Sure.
Got some
Good evening.
papers for you guys so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. Here's a picture of the site. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I think you know that our plan is to overbuild the city of Arlington with fiber to the home. And part of our design requires a building, we call it central office building or a hut, for our electronics and to be the main distribution point of the city, for the city. I know Chris has worked with our engineering firm, Finley Engineering out of Slayton, Minnesota, to help identify what would be a good location for our hut for access and I can tell you that the size of the building, which is a pre-built building that actually it's refurbished. It's a former Verizon Wireless building that'll be set in on a crane on a pad. The size of the building is, correct me if I misstate here, is 12 by 30. And this area here, maybe Chris, you can talk to, who you talk to, about that particular area.
Yep, so I met with Kirby. Jeepers, it might have been a couple months ago already. And we drove around the city to determine where would be the best location for both parties, and where we could put the building. Originally, we thought maybe the water tower site, after looking at that, you guys got a lot going on over there. So, Kirby took me over to the maintenance shop here. And we identified this corner, right off East Adams Street, as a potential site. Right now, the one picture that you see, kind of what's there, Kirby just kind of said that's where all the miscellaneous things end up at. But certainly not a corner that he would use a ton. So looking at the overall design, we've identified this would be the best place for us to set, like Larry says, our building. It kind of looks like, I don't know if you know where Frontiers building is over there by the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to that. Ours probably won't be brick, but real similar, so, what we would propose is that we would, come in, level it out, pour a slab, and then set our building down on top of that.
And then construct all of our fiber to that location.
Yep.
And, there were a few, issues, you know, we had our engineering firm came up with a, first draft of a lease. And I know, you know, you looked at it, I think, Shirley, and I think you ran it past the city attorney or,
The city attorney, I've included some questions for the planning commission to kind of talk about this evening about, and yes, and he does have concerns. I thought the last one I got was a 12 by 10. Has it always been a 12 by 30, Sharon?
Originally, we were proposing like a 12 by 20,
Yeah.
with, inventory as hard as it is, we ended up identifying and finding a building that was 12 by
Oh, I
30.
see, okay, all right. So I'm not exactly sure, maybe we should go over those questions. You know, the attorney sent it back to the planning commission. It first was before the city council and now it's going back, but, you know, this has to have, an easement of some kind. And so he said, well, he did say, why do we need an easement? Can we just include access for the lease agreement?
and we agree, Shirley.
And planning and zoning to consider where such access should occur. So they identified it now off of East, Street there.
I think that kind of makes things simpler too, from our standpoint. We're not giving up
Mhm,
so much out there,
mhm.
and this is probably easier for you guys to access too in the winter, because
Yep,
this actually gets plowed.
yep.
That,
Because when I went and looked with Kirby, that was like, oh,
Yeah,
it's gonna work out well.
I mean, it's a city shop, so it has to.
Yeah,
use a-
Yeah, they
Up
probably
there,
go up the
does it
drop,
really?
drop the plow.
And some of these questions, yes, conformity, if it's down here, it would work.
Mhm.
I also heard 10 by 20, now 10 by
Mhm.
30, but that's more up to how much space Kirby's willing to give up.
So I actually, if I came down and took some pictures, and I can pass them around too, and I wheeled off, so, from the fence, from the property line where the fence is to east to where the gravel starts was 34 or 32 feet. And then from the curb line on East Adams going north to where that shed and the kind of racking is where there's some pipe, is 64 feet. And I got some pictures here, if anybody would want to see that, you know, kind of laid out with the measurement.
You wanna see the pictures of the,
I can pass that, I can bring a couple more here. Just to make sure that our building would fit in there.
oh, we have to give him an easement because it'd be so close to the property owner
I
too.
don't know, you know,
Would you guys put cameras on the building? Would it be surveillance at all? The only reason I ask is because I think there's is that a park right there? I can't remember.
There is a playground
Yeah,
there, yeah.
And that's the only reason I ask. If you guys were thinking about that.
I know we have on other buildings.
Yeah.
That we have, and so, the answer is in all likelihood, yes.
Okay, alright, I'm just curious, just
Because
because,
we put, security camera and key fob access.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there any setbacks that you guys would like to follow or?
I would think that
Requests.
there are some setbacks. I'm not exactly sure. You know, if the blue line, is the blue line what is that?
So yep, the blue line is your parcel. I printed this off the county
Oh, okay,
website.
it's our
Yeah.
parcel.
Yep.
And I suppose that there'd be some type of a setback from that property line.
Usually 8 feet,
Yeah.
depending on how big the properties are and
Mhm,
stuff and what's
mhm.
adjacent, so.
So, yeah, even at 8 feet, we would, 12 foot wide, we
Yeah.
would still have some room there.
Yeah.
Ken also said that he had concerns that the lease agreement doesn't provide for an out for the city. It's a 30-year lease.
Oh, yes.
And indefinitely by Novera. He would like to see some sort of way for the city to terminate in that agreement.
And, that's a concern for us, as you might imagine. We're, intending to, come into Arlington and stay, and we've got a $4 million construction investment going on. And, protection, should we break the lease, is that we pay the remainder of the lease. Okay, and, if the 30-year lease, let's say we take 10 years, even if we do leave, which that's a lot of money here, then we'd have to pay the remaining 20 years of the lease payment. For the city, for the city to terminate our lease, we could come up with terms, I guess, that if the city decides to terminate our lease, then the city would pay for our relocation of our equipment and the building and all the facilities that we put in. I don't foresee,
And I'm not sure that, it's too bad he's not here that he could explain that, but I think it works both ways. I can see where if ever we needed to extend, some of our building sites, or if they needed a site for something else, I don't think we'd ever use that little bit of easement anyway, but he put it in here for us to consider, and I think that that's, his job.
I'm sorry,
That's.
I understand, like, the 30 years, if they were out there, it just seems like,
Mhm.
in 30 years, are we gonna expand here? I don't like to sign 30-year anything, to be honest, but if it's not really, it doesn't seem like it's in a place unless we think we're gonna expand the city of Arlington
Mhm.
down into a flood valley,
Mhm.
because that's what that is down there. I mean,
Right.
I've never seen it flood that building out or anything like that, but
Mhm.
the creek is right down there, and
Farther east,
yeah, it wouldn't be would be
And then
smart
he
to
had
do that.
concerns to consider whether or not the leasing should have the ability to assign or transfer the lease. And I think these are all legal questions.
Yeah,
Let's say
well,
Novera goes away, or, and you say, oh gosh, we've got somebody that we want to assign the lease to, I think that he just wants to be clear so that we're both know that.
and we could certainly, work with our, attorney on what that language might be. I know typically there's language in there that would, to say that should Nuvera be acquired or whatever, that the city would allow the assignment of that lease
Mhm.
without undue,
And then his last concern was that the city should have some sort of bond posted to ensure Novera returns the property of the city as it was prior. It's gotta be in better shape than taking it, so I don't think we have to
So you
really
better
worry
say
about that.
Put a slab down.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're gonna have a nice slab when we leave.
Yes, yeah.
And, has there been a discussion of a lease payment?
I discussed it with with our COO.
Okay, so that they're.
In order, our plan is to actually start construction in the city
Mhm.
beginning of May.
Mhm.
And of course, this is integral to actually turning any customers up, to get this. So we'd like to keep it clean rather than, initially we're saying, well, potentially a in-kind service swap type of thing. But we think it'd be a lot cleaner potentially if we come up with a dollar figure. And then our intention is to build fiber if you can give me a list of every city location, we'll make sure we build fiber there.
Mhm.
So in the future, for instance, if we want to use our services or use us to connect the city offices, then we'll have our M&A, our managed services folks,
Mhm.
work with you. And then we can talk about what those costs might be and whether or not we maybe
Mhm.
swap amend the lease to where
There was.
it's rather not
I
a cash payment.
can't remember, is it the first, exactly, it was discussed that they would provide some type of service. Well, then right away, we had a staff meeting and everybody said, well, it will be in the library, right? That service, and then the next one said, well, no, it wouldn't be in the library, it should be at City Hall. And then the next one said, well, what about the ambulance building? And so all of the city building, all of the people that work here thought that their building would have the free service of the internet. And so then we got to saying, okay, we need that clarified. Will it be one building that's part of that lease, or consider payment, or however that goes? So those are the questions. I think they're all good questions. By the time we work off this agreement, it should be all settled and everyone should know. So those are some of the questions that came from staff.
I know we, in our discussions internally, we're thinking we look at what we pay in leases for other properties,
Mhm.
where we have these buildings, and it's all over the board. I mean, it is, some it's,
Yeah.
one of them, it's $300 a month, for instance, in Savage.
Mhm.
And, Lake Manuela, we've got a property up there, $500 a year.
Mhm.
And then the Hector Historical Society, we actually are in their building there. It's
Mhm.
one of our central offices, $1,500 a year.
Sure.
And so what we were thinking was the initial lease draft was that the value we put on a 100 meg symmetrical service, is $199.95 a month.
Mhm.
So what we thought we'd ask is, would you consider $200 a month cash payment paid annually? So $2,400 a year, and over where's my math on that? Over a 30-year period, that's $72,000.
Mhm. And so the other thing, and that sounds, fair, however, I've just encouraged these gentlemen, whatever they do for other cities, they can kind of, because we're new at this.
Yeah.
The community wants Nuvera to come, everybody's excited about that. There have been some questions that say, well, if they bring the service up to the home and we don't hook up, then is there a fee? That's, because I think the night that you were here talking to everyone, that was kind of what they said.
Yeah.
Well, there's no charge for you tonight if you agree that you want it. Well, then, then they start to think, okay, what if we can't afford that or don't want it? Then are we still, are we obligated? So I don't know how to answer that. Maybe you can do a
Yeah.
question answer sometime.
I asked our business development, marketing and sales folks, and, again, during their construction period here,
Mhm.
if whoever signs up and commits to take our service, okay, and I don't believe it's even contractual in that regard. I mean, you at least we have to activate the service,
Mhm.
and there has to be a monthly charge. Then there's no charge for us to connect your house. Okay, we'll put the drop, we call it a fiber drop, in the ground from the
Mhm.
street to your home. But if after our construction is done, if you don't sign up during that period of time,
Mhm.
then we're gonna have to charge $250, which is not, it's way less than what it costs to put that drop in.
Mhm.
A $250 fee, or you commit to a 2-year service
Okay.
contract,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Which
That-
makes
that's-
sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's brand new for everyone, so they have lots of
Mhm.
questions.
So this $250, that you're talking about, are you going to include that as a part of the monthly service, or is it just like, suppose somebody signs for a 2-year contract?
Then we waive the $250 fee to plow the new service into your house, to put the new drop in. This is after all of the construction is done.
Mhm.
If you haven't signed up during the initial construction period, which will be probably
Yeah.
4 or
Say-
5 months.
Say next summer, somebody wants to sign up,
Okay,
that's when we would implement you can pay $250 up front or sign up with a 2-year contract to waive the $250 installation fee.
okay, and this 2-year contract, when you say, then basically what you're saying is that if somebody were not to commit for the 2-year contract, then in that case, they have to pay $250.
For us to bring the service to the house, yeah.
And the way we will operate is, for example, somebody does commit in the beginning, but say after 1 year, they are not, for whatever reason, they want to just terminate the contract,
Sure.
then are they still liable for the $250?
No, and as I understand it, and I'll follow up on that, but things happen, people move out.
Yeah.
Folks move, I mean, so if, we sign folks up initially without a contract. And, we're confident that, our pricing and our service, folks will keep it, and if you don't, then, that's just the way it is sometimes, so. No, I will follow up on that, but no, we're not talking contract or payout. If, and I hate to say this, but I suppose you could keep the service for a month and,
Yeah,
disconnect it.
yeah.
Okay, just want, because
So as
people
long as
will ask
people-
questions like that, for example, after 3 months or,
Yeah,
so if it's a 2-year commitment, then essentially you're telling a customer that, you need to be there for 2 years, fulfill your obligations. And sometimes, some, telephone companies, they have basically a month-to-month service in the sense that, there's no contract, you can join and, cancel after a couple of months or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
So I think, that they probably would want to be sure also that, you may not have, they can be, they may just cancel this subscription, but there might be a termination fee that might be, added in the last bill, which, it has happened, and so as long as the people are aware in advance as to what they're getting into, that would be greatly appreciated. All the information is
yeah,
provided.
and what I can say in the 10 years that I've worked with New Bears, a lot of other companies do promotional rates.
Yeah.
And we don't do that.
Okay,
What we say on our website is what we're charging you.
okay,
And we are that confident that, our service is great to where, unless, unforeseen circumstance that you would move out of town, we are confident that, we wouldn't want to get rid of the fiber.
so this one basically will provide service for TV, internet? No, it's
No,
what?
we're
Just
broadband
internet.
only. There's so much
Yeah.
now, well, if everybody's heard of cord cutting, well,
Yeah.
number one, dial tone lines are
Yeah.
like this anyway, but, the TV folks are just they're streaming over the top of the internet service,
Okay,
so, our thoughts were, at least out of the gate, and unless there's some market that develops for, a video service,
mhm,
no. Now, voice service to a business,
mhm.
we will offer that, voice service to a business, that we already do, frankly. If a business customer wanted voice service and had a broadband connection right now in town here, we'd offer them we call it flex voice. But residential voice, no.
So what are the services? I'm sorry, I never attended I was not around to.
I did, and sometimes I'm still confused because I'm on the building side, not the
So what
marketing
exactly
side.
are you offering? there?
Internet,
Just
fiber
internet?
optic internet.
That's all.
Yep, but it's, with fiber optic, it's, like he referenced before, it's symmetrical, so a lot of copper, or coax systems, they might offer you a 20 meg download, but a 5 meg upload.
Mhm.
We're offering you a 100 meg download and a 100 meg upload,
Or a gigabit.
or a gigabit,
Yeah, because,
faster speeds.
yes, I mentioned that I received a letter from, Novera,
Yep,
saying, being a resident here. Then somebody asked me the question that, okay, you have other service and they offer you TV, they offer you internet, and they offer you, also the phone, so
Yeah,
everything is
yeah.
included. So how is that going to help me? They just asked me that, I said, I don't know, but, I can definitely ask,
And
what are the services?
it depends on the consumer. I mean, some
Sure.
folks still, they like the bundle, we call it, which is the voice and the TV and the internet. But then we're just finding that from our business case perspective, it's just the real business is in the internet service.
Okay, so it's basically just internet strictly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you. No, I don't have any other
Yeah,
questions in here.
No, I don't think that.
Well, I'm looking at what, because I will revise the lease agreement. from a size perspective,
Yeah,
I mean, we were looking at potentially a 30 by 50 or 30 by 60. You know, I mean, obviously, that's not as big as
Right.
it's larger than the
The area we want to
area
lease.
will be.
and see, I wasn't, I think that both staff and, the council, what we started out with was the size of the building,
Sure.
and that was a 12 by 10.
Mhm.
And so now you've gone, the building is a 12 by 30,
Yep.
and so now how much more, you
Well-
need just that space
Well,
for the
if we
lease?
have access, you know, like for instance, the slab that we put in all likely we put like a stoop at least
Yeah,
for the doors in and out, so it'd be wider than 12. The pad will be.
Right.
You
but
know,
I think those are the dimensions that you truly have to submit so that we can go forward, so that if the attorney thinks that an easement or something has to be, an agreement has to be developed, he certainly will do that. I mean, I know you'll present us with a lease, but I'm sure that the attorney will have to change something on it.
Yeah, and the lease, what we were changing the language on the lease was to take away any mention of an easement for access
Mm,
and basically just calling it access.
mhm.
That, you know, that the property, the city property adjacent to this building, we'd be able to go over it, drive over it and park so we can get access to the building. You know, when we have to go in there, because we don't, once we're done, I mean, how often do we visit?
I mean, largely, what'll happen is when the technicians are in town, they'll probably stop there to get some equipment.
Mhm, mhm.
Other than that, we periodically might have to do some stuff inside there, but once we're up and running, it's not gonna be often.
It'll just be an access wording is what it'll be,
Yeah.
access so that we can basically
Park in front of.
pull
the
up
building.
to it.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know other, I'm trying to think what other questions we have here.
Do you, as a committee, how do you guys feel about the location? I think what we like to walk away with tonight is that we feel like we can make an agreement for this location. Cause like Larry mentioned that we are planning on, starting construction, and this is kind of like the heart of Arlington for us. So,
The final say ends with the council, but I believe hopefully our recommendation out here might be that this location down at the city, what do you call it, municipal building is, much better than Outward Five.
the water.
Or the water tower.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few places that were, but I guess hopefully our recommendation, do you feel the same?
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's
I
a-
agree, this is
Yes.
a logical
Okay.
site.
Yeah,
So when you talk about this 12 feet by 30 feet building, so that's the actual building that you'll have there,
12 by 30 would be the actual
actual
building.
building, and then so you'll have a slab below
Yes.
that. And then I'm sure there'll be some more space that you'll acquire on that. Are you going to fence it or just kind of leave just a slab with the building?
It's just a slab with the building and then a potential of short stoop out the front for the,
Yes,
for the egret, the doors,
Yeah.
you know, service doors.
yes,
And then otherwise, we really don't require anything other than the access.
so
You know, if we just to allow us to
okay.
drive up to it, get out and come on in.
Okay, so it might be more like 15 by 35 feet or something like that, the whole space.
Yeah, that's when he referenced the,
Okay.
you know, 20 by 30. I mean, that's the idea that we
That's
would
the
lease
building.
a little bit of extra space
Yeah,
to ensure that,
Okay, okay.
you know, how we want to fit it on or anything else that we would need, so.
All right,
all
I
right.
mean,
Okay.
do you have concerns about any of the other stuff the attorney laid out here, or we just?
Let's see.
And I really don't know either. You know, if after 50 years you decide to take the building, would you take the building down or would you leave the building there?
So, I mean, in all honesty, I don't think we ever foresee that building leaving unless New Vera doesn't appear anymore. But
Okay.
this will always be, there'll always be a building there as long as New Vera has a presence in Arlington. That is definitely the heart that we're gonna, we need, so, and once we're established, like Larry was referencing, it's extremely difficult to move, so, I don't see us ever leaving unless something unforeseen would happen,
And then that makes me think a lot of the Frontier building that's
Yeah.
been there forever and
Uh-huh.
just on, off Main Street like that. So I'm glad again.
Yeah, right.
It's not, it is the heart of, the internet, but I'm glad that it's not the heart of town.
Sure.
Right,
You know, like we
yeah.
had, we're kind of tucked
Or
away.
a substation that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
it's just.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank
And
you, thank you for finding this spot.
Yeah, I mean, our thoughts are to basically paint it to match the
The shed.
city building,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
city building there,
Any other questions for the gentleman? Okay, or any comments, anything? If not,
I know our business development lady asked me to request it, anytime you might be talking to city residents, if they're interested in service to let us know, cause the more we can get pre-signed up, the better.
You should probably stop in and talk with the Gwen at the front desk and Lisa. They put out a newsletter, every month.
Yeah,
And
I've
so,
talked to Glenn a couple of
Okay,
times.
so
I've asked
maybe-
her a couple of times.
yeah, are they willing to do that?
I haven't specifically talked about that, but I've stopped and asked, like, any questions
There
our
has
residents
been
might
one
be
in
having.
our-
or-
Bill, about
Okay.
to go in and sign up, but I just have questions on what's compatible with what I have now.
Sure.
What'll be, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I just haven't signed up for it yet.
Yeah,
We're looking forward to having better internet in
yeah,
town.
I gotta be honest with you, we're very excited too. I mean, just the positive, that we're getting, the positivity we're getting back. It excites us to come in and serve Arlington, so.
So for like residents to pre-sign up, do they have to pick what they're going to be? Like,
I think at this
Plan?
point, we just want you to call, I don't think you're signing up for service today. I think Is it that way? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what the-
Internet,
Yeah.
I did go in and sign up, and, then a lady called from the office, and what you sign up for when you initiate right now, you're not bound to that package. You can change it at the time of installation.
just taking service, basically, is what it sounds like, committee to take service.
And honestly, at any point during, if you have our service, you can change your package, even if you're in a contract,
One of our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the
Okay.
questions we have.
thank you very much for your time.
Our next steps then should be, again, to work on that lease agreement and get it to whom?
Jessica Steinke will be the next city administrator.
Can I follow up with you Shirley tomorrow, maybe get her email?
Sure, well, okay,
Does she have an email?
not yet.
Okay,
She's starting Monday. So
Starts
you could
Monday?
just,
maybe I stop down on Monday.
no, you know what, City of Arlington, City of Arlington MN.com is the email that's been going to me the
Okay.
entire time.
Oh,
So
yeah, City Hall,
whatever-
yep.
Yeah, City Hall, that's right.
So we'll just probably
Just-
reuse that.
Just keep that up until we decide on something else. Now, I think that
Need
you
these?
are.
Do you need these?
Yes,
to
that'd
go?
be great. I'll put those in the minutes. Thank you very much. I do think that you should appear at the EDA meeting on Monday night, or present a lease or something so that they can talk about it again.
Sure.
Because they're considering the other,
Oh,
another.
what? is it public knowledge? I mean, who are these other folks that are leasing and coming into town with fiber?
It will be public knowledge.
Yeah,
in the minute.
Pardon me?
It will be public knowledge in the minute, right? We
Yeah.
can-
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, better put a cork in it.
No, I don't, can we? I mean,
well, it's on the agenda, so sure. It's, MMI has presented us with, it's called Middle Mile Infrastructure. And they're wanting to purchase a perpetual easement in the city. And that's kind of where this first, and we started with them and now with you, and so then, and that, they're looking at some EDA property that they're going to build their hut on, and they're asking for 120 by 120 foot easement.
And this is another,
A purchase,
Yes, they are.
purchase
They're
of
asking for,
perpetual easement.
but it's a perpetual green easement, so if it ever came back and come back to the city, they can't sell the easement, it would come back. And they're willing to pay a substantial amount for that easement. And so that's where, I mean, we just wanted to make sure that everybody knows what this easement is going to cost the city or not going to cost the city. And that's why I've been pushing hard, because it's kind of like, and they will do an actual survey. And I mean, it'll be done, and then, like I said, there'll probably be a lease agreement on that says it comes back and so forth. They're going to use it for an inline amplifier hut to boost the signal to the MMI internet network. But it's really network they're really passing through.
Yep.
It's not like it's internet that's going to service
oh,
ours like
this
yours.
is like a,
It's just for the lines coming through.
so like a data transfer,
Long haul.
Google,
We call them long haul
Facebook.
transport.
Yeah.
Oh, Meta. Those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, Meta, those guys, yeah.
so that shouldn't really honestly have anything there to bug. That shouldn't really have any,
No,
cause they won't be
They won't be putting
putting in
fiber
fiber optic
into
to
the,
the home or anything like that.
no.
Okay. So you think we should should come to that's Monday, is it?
Monday the 10th, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
is that, no, the 10th, isn't it?
Oh, this-
What is
this
today, the
coming
6th?
Monday.
That's when,
that's the EDA meeting?
Same as the council, right? So it's,
it'll go right to the
Council's not,
No, the 17th.
council's not till the 17th.
Mhm.
I forgot.
So maybe if you can just, if you have a lease agreement ready or something so that the EDA could see that, I mean, then maybe you don't need to go to the EDA, I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm wondering, do they, the recommendation process
Mhm.
from staff or what comes from the planning and zoning commission, or does it come from the EDA for that lease agreement?
It's gotta
No,
go through the council.
Right, but
Yeah.
I think all agencies wanted to review it, I'm not sure, I don't know why they did. But because they were approached with this other easement that went to them, I think that's how they thought it. And maybe, when you hear about an easement and you hear about, internet and, fiber, you right away think it's all the same fiber, right? I mean, it takes a magician to figure that, for me to figure it out, I'm not a magician. So, I mean, just like I learned a lot tonight saying it's just internet. I thought it was internet and cable and
I think
telephone,
that's the impression quite a
everything.
few people had, and that's the reason
certainly.
Yeah.
I was asked that question that, is it going to be all three bundled together?
But in order to present the lease agreement to the council, does it have to get approval and a recommendation from the planning and zoning commission?
They'll get the minutes and they'll see that it's been discussed here and
Okay.
what was discussed. And then it'll go to them. And I think the only person that we really have to satisfy besides the city council is the city attorney. And so excuse me, but you explained what you want. I'm not sure whether that's gonna take a survey, or if we need to do that, or if they can just, you know, are you gonna go out there and survey something?
I think typically we would to
Yes,
have
okay.
a legal
And so
description of it.
then you'll have a description and so forth,
Yeah.
and I think that's what he's talking about, as having that lease agreement, and then if the council wants a 30-year or renew after that, like you said, it might be here for 200 years, but it might, and if Rivera goes away, well,
Okay, so I'm just wondering if, you know, during the city council meeting, then will that be a negotiating time for what the,
I would
what the
suggest
rent
that-
is?
I would suggest that you get your lease to staff as soon as you can.
Okay,
And with that, we give it then to our city attorney. And then he has a chance to review it, hopefully before the 17th. And we'll have comments back to you that, yes, this is what he's recommending to the city council. The city council chooses not to go by what he says, they'll accept the
okay,
agreement and go on.
thank you.
Like anything else, yeah, it's always complicated, isn't it?
Well, I'm learning too.
That's right, we all are. We never stop learning. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then,
Okay,
Yeah,
so we
the
go to the next item?
the next item, and I apologize for the map that's
No
attached
problem,
here.
no problem.
It was, I think because it got done in black and white, it looked a lot better. This here is from that
Middle mile,
middle mile infrastructure.
so you-
And he said we could contact him by phone, but I really think that if we just go over it. The EDA has looked at this. They are, of course, excited. It's on their land, and they would come off of a driveway that they say is the city's property driveway that crosses over that lot line there. So they come off of 5 onto that property, and then they want to go and have an easement done about, but they would like about purchasing that easement. And my understanding is it's a perpetual easement, so even though they buy it, it goes back to the city if they ever should lose. That's what perpetual easement is.
this?
It's 120 by 120.
Sorry,
Uh-huh.
Where is it at?
it's right by the storage sheds out on
Uh-huh.
five
And it's the
I'm
EDA.
just really
and the.
confused at looking at this. I'm like,
And the easement would be used for an inline amplifier hut to boost the signal to the MMI internet network in conjunction with fiber optic cables within the right of way. And the only utilities that are proposed will be a connection to a power source. And they have offered us $60,000 for that. And so what the EDA has requested is, since it's EDA property, they would like that 60,000 to go to the EDA fund so that they have money to work with.
Is it 60 or 50?
No, they went up to 60.
They went up to 60 now.
They did great. So, they talk about it'll be 2 installments. They'll put somebody down. The final easement would be done 180 days after the agreement was. So again, the city attorney thought that this is something the planning commission should talk about and say, good idea, it's not a good idea. I think that, I think it's a good idea that they're willing to come in and do an easement, have it surveyed, and it'll be a legal document. It's not, and it's a little bit different than, where our city shed is. There seems to be lots of lowland or land there that's not useful, but I think that this here is would be cleaner for them to have that. And Howie Brinkman did a lot of research on this. I mean, went to the county and got all the documents and knows right where it's going. I was hoping he'd be here tonight because he's very knowledgeable of what it is. I mean, he knew that this was not going to be a conflict with Novera coming in, which was, everybody didn't want to talk about this easement because they thought they were in competition. You know what I mean?
like you're saying, it is a high speed just for a jump through, it's not a.
Just carrying the,
I mean, I'm excited for the EDA, but I mean, they can do what they want with their own land, I guess. I don't have an opinion on it, to be
Right.
totally honest with.
yeah. So we'll just say that you reviewed it and you don't have any recommendations at this time?
I think it's,
Send us-
you know,
I mean,
I don't know what that's zoned out there. If that's, it would be a problem at all from our standpoint
The
or
zoning,
not.
I don't think so, because it's that EDA land as far as, you know,
Yeah,
it's just, again, a hut of 120 by 120. I don't
Yeah,
think that's what the size building is at all. It's more of a, and I think they bring it in also. They have the type of building that they know what they want.
I wonder, I mean, to have an easement onto Highway 5 is such a treasure in itself, to be totally honest with you.
Absolutely.
I would be trying to sell that land to Quick Trip or something, I don't know, something. I mean, a gas station or something, a commercial building where it's gonna get a lot of use out of and everything. It
Yeah.
seems like,
And
but then again, it is off to the side. And I'm
right,
not
but, and it's that small access there, see, isn't that true? And that's what Mr. Brinkman found out, is that that truly is our road going into that other. So we do have access right there, so
Mhm.
this here wouldn't come on, I mean, it's not gonna come out onto 5, it's gonna join up.
So they'd
with the-
actually still keep the
Yeah.
access to the Highway 5.
Yeah.
So they could probably still put a gas station in there.
Yeah, they can put
Or
anything in.
Something, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. Cause there's been a lot of, there was gonna be a hops thing and.
Oh, yes, that's right, hemp hill.
Something else.
What we
Maybe
got?
yarn quilt shop.
Oh,
There was a lot of things that was gonna go in there at one
We
point.
need a grid trip.
yeah.
It was gonna be quite the building, I guess. It just didn't happen. COVID hit actually, I think, right around that time.
So any other questions? Otherwise, that's the last thing on the agenda. Any comments? No? No concerns? Other updates? This will be my last meeting with all of you. I've enjoyed working with the planning commission.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for
so
your
that's
time
what
with
you-
us.
Yes, and I wish you good luck with the next person. And they say she's very good at planning and zoning. So isn't
Good.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that
would
would
be
be really nice.
helpful.
Mhm, very helpful. And so, we'll keep going. That'll be your forte.
I will not be at next month's meeting.
Okay. Oops. Are you going on vacation?
No, I am in Leading Sibley Together, and it's our
Oh,
graduation ceremony that night, so.
oh, wonderful. Okay,
Yeah, so I will not be here.
all right.
I did get the alumni thing on the phone, I just.
Come on.
And thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
gentlemen. It's a fun program though.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, did you have Katie still, no, she just retired, right? I thought I heard that, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Any questions?
Sorry, I went on a ramble there.
No,
okay.
Any
If not,
concerns about the city council or anything like that? Any updates?
Well, thanks for being with us.
Well,
though.
thank you
I
very
mean,
much.
it's,
I've really enjoyed being here. So,
so, get a motion to adjourn the meeting for today?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion is passed, so the meeting is adjourned.
and it's exactly 8
8
o'clock.
o'clock. Great job.
That's why you got my vote. I just wanna say right now. Amazing timing.
Where exactly is this?